Hey guys, and welcome back. This is ChosenArchitect, and today, that's right, we're going to be building the Tardis. So I hope you guys are ready. I think today is going to be one of those days that is going to be super fun, and I hope you guys enjoy watching this. I've built the tower that extends all the way up to the top, and this is going to be where we put our main draconic sphere. And this is where things can start to get a little bit crazy, I think, in today's episode, because we're going to be funneling a lot of power into this draconic core that we're about to make. So we should have pretty much everything needed in order to make the draconic core. As you can see, here is all the building materials that I have been using to get that thing built. Very, very simplistic. Doesn't really take too much to set it up, but let's go ahead and get into this. First things first, we need to make we're getting into draconic evolution and make ourselves an energy core. That's going to be the main part of this. Then we need some pylons. If you haven't seen this before, it's pretty interesting how it actually works. So if you're new to any of this, then welcome to the awesomeness that is draconic evolution. We're going to make some of these energy core stabilizers. This is going to be one of the main components of this. And so what we're going to need to do is place these. At least we're going to be making the top tier draconic one. We're going to jump right to it. You just place them like so. And look at that. It actually creates a complete circle. It's pretty cool. It's a straight up multi-block is how this thing works. So yeah, I'm going to make this for each one. And this is going to be the basically the energy. It says energy stabilizers, but it's basically what's going to make it look like energy is flowing, like it's maintaining this giant ball of energy. All right, so with that done, we need an energy core to go somewhere in the center. So this is where maybe getting some building blocks would be helpful. Let's use some draconium blocks, might as well, that makes sense, right? So we're gonna find the center of this. That being this block right here, which is perfect. We're gonna ore excavate these. And we're gonna pretty much be ready to go. Now, I'm going to surprise a lot of you guys with this tip right here. If you didn't know it, you can actually click this, tier this all the way up to the top tier, right? This is the tier 8 energy core that is ready to go. Normally, what you would do is you would set this guide, and you would activate the guide, and the guide right here would allow you to have something to build off of, right? And you would just follow the guide and blah, blah, blah. That is super boring. Let's do this instead. What we need to do is fill our inventory with quite a few draconium blocks and quite a few awakened draconium blocks. Let's take this out. There we go. We need a few awakened draconium. And what you can do is actually just click assemble core, and it'll automatically pull the contents from your inventory. And yeah, that's right. Start building this thing. It is quite a thing to see, and it doesn't actually take too long, and I think if you use the time in a bottle, it's even faster if you use the time in the bottle in the core. But yeah, it's going to build this thing for me. I think I can get pretty far away from it as well. It doesn't really care, it just pulls it right out of my inventory, which is quite insane. Sometimes I run out of awakened draconium, but I think in this case I have enough. I think this is gonna be just fine. Look at this. So I've been doing some testing in this pack over at twitch.tv/ChosenArchitect. You can find that link down in the description below. I have been streaming pretty much every single day, and I have also been playing this pack on the Twitch, on our sub server, which also has this pack running. And we've been testing some crazy stuff over there, and so you may see some similarities between this and that. It's just because I have been just doing some pretty cool tests, and I've liked some of the builds that I've done there, and I'm recreating them here for you guys on YouTube. But yeah, it's been a pretty awesome ride over there at Twitch. You guys have been giving a lot of support. Also, if you're watching this, we just hit 100,000 subscribers. And if you aren't already a part of that club, man, I highly recommend you clicking that subscribe button, because boy, oh boy, are you missing out on such an amazing community. And getting these videos posted to you every single day, man, what's better than that? I have no idea. But anyways, enough of the promotion. This thing is built, so now what we can do is open this up and hit activate. Bam! Look at that bad boy, man. Such an awesome looking machine. And we're going to talk about how to actually set up your Flux network to interact with this thing. A lot of people have issues when it comes to this point setting up their Flux network system. So let's go ahead and talk about that. What you're going to need is the pylons. I'm going to use 2 pylons for right now. Later on, we may have to switch that up and use a couple more, but for right now, 1 pylon is going to be more than enough. What I'm going to do is put a pylon here and a pylon on the other side. Doesn't really matter. You could put these right next to each other. I like to kind of split them up. It just kind of makes things look prettier. And what you want to do is get yourself some glass. This is how you activate these pylons. You put a piece of glass underneath, and this is now an input pylon. You can see the arrows are facing inward. This is going to input power into this sphere. And this is where the power is going to be stored, right? And then over here, we're going to put this glass, and then we're going to right click on this, and that's going to set this to an extract. So that way we can pull power out of this pylon, right? So with that being done, we need to get ourselves a Flux network, another Flux network setup. Currently, I have a Flux network setup, but we're going to have to change this around a bit. Currently, we have power that is being exported or being imported into our network via the green network that we have set up. And that's the one that I want to use. As of right now, we are putting power in through the green network. So what I need is a point that is going to take that power from my green network and input it into this sphere. So we need to go over to the one that is set to input, the one that's facing, the arrows facing in. And we're going to go ahead and set that to this network, which is now called main, but we're going to edit this and we're going to call this input. And this is going to be our input power. Now, I'm going to leave the input power on green because putting power in is a positive and usually referred to as a green, or usually has a green number or a green coloration to it when going positive. So I'm going to save that, leaving it green. All right, so that's another way to kind of keep it understandable. And we're going to remove the transfer limit. You're going to see particles just flooding into this thing, right? That's awesome. That is set up properly. And you can see we are transferring quite a bit, 740,000 RF a tick. That may seem like a lot, but honestly, it's actually a pretty measly number compared to what we're going to be generating in a little bit. So that's going in. Now we need to get power out to power all of our other stuff because we want this to be a storage buffer. We want that to have a big old buffer. That way we don't run out of power. So currently all these are still set to green. Well, we need to create a new network entirely. And this is going to be called our output buffer, or our output network. And then we're going to use a plug. Remember, plug is what you send power to a network with. So let's create a new one. We're going to call this input. And of course, you can name it that if you're on a server or whatever. And I'm going to set this to red. We're going to select output. And then we're going to go enable true. We're going to remove that transfer limit so that way it has an unlimited transfer rate pulling out. Now what we need to do is go around, and anything that has power associated with it that is on this current channel, we need to set it to the output channel. So let's get our, what it's not called a wand, configurator. Let's grab our configurator, make sure we set this to the right network, which is output, and then make sure the transfer rate's off. And then we'll just go around and we'll switch everything that is currently using power to this. Now, there is another way you could do it. If you didn't want to do this, you could go around and just change the power inputs. For me, it really doesn't matter. I have just as many of these points as I do anything else. But I do have to go around and change all of them, which can be kind of tedious. But it's only going to take me a couple seconds, and then I'll be right back. Well, this bad boy is done. We have it nice looking. Look at this. I went ahead and even made a little dome around it. Oh, man. Things I do for you guys. No, I'm just kidding. This basically is just the tower for this sphere. I do plan on having some other stuff in here that we're going to do a few episodes from now. But right now, I want to do what everybody has been wanting me to do. And that is to start working on the Tardis. Now, I think this is going to be a two-parter. I can already tell it's probably going to be a two-parter because I know all the things that are required to make the Tardis. And it's basically everything that is a part of modular machines that you see right here. I have everything else. We just need to make the stuff for this. Now, you may be like, oh, that's not too bad, right? It's actually not that bad at all. We have the Awakened Core. We have everything, but this right here, tungsten steel ingots. We do have tungsten ingots, but not tungsten steel, which means we have to get into Tech Reborn completely. And I think we can do that all in this episode. And if you don't know what Tech Reborn is, I'm going to go ahead and make the machines that are required, explain those to you a little bit, and show you actually what we need to do in order to make these things work. So I'm going to try to do this as quick as possible. And also, I did realize I had the wrong name. It was supposed to be over here on the names. I had the red as input as well. You guys probably let me know down in the comments. But anyways, let's get into this. Right here, we have an industrial blast furnace, an industrial centrifuge, and an industrial electrolyzer, along with a vacuum freezer. All of these things are very cool. 2 of them are going to require multi-block structures. Now, you can toggle to see the multi-block structure, and it's very simple to kind of just build these multi-block structures. Now, this stuff I'm using is reinforced machine casings, and that's one of the things that's required. Now, the blast furnace is a little bit different on its multi-block. You can see it doesn't tell you what kind you need, even though it can accept all the way up to the advanced machine casings, whereas the vacuum freezer literally only requires this one. So let's go ahead and work on this. We need to work towards the advanced machine casing, but as you can see, that is going to require titanium plates, which that's easy to get, but chromium plates, on the other hand, they're going to require a little bit different of a process. In order to get these plates, specific plates, we need to look at the industrial blast furnace. And you can see this is how we get the actual chrome ingots. Now, we need chrome dust in that place. And a good way to get chrome dust is to take ruby dust and an empty cell and throw that in an industrial electrolyzer. And you should get some chrome dust. So let's go ahead and do that. We have some ruby here, and we need to grind down the ruby. Now, a good way to do that is to throw it into a pulverizer. The pulverizer is going to pretty much guarantee you the actual ruby dust itself from Tech Reborn. But normally, you would have to use an a fluid sieving machine, I think. Which one is it from Tech Reborn? Industrial centrifuge. That's one way you can get it as well. Pulverizer seems to work. Also, the crusher seems to work. But the Ender IO machines do not give you this. So keep that in mind. All right. So let's take this in here. We have the industrial electrolyzer right here, right? And what was the other thing we were going to need? It was the tin. Let's see. Industrial electrolyzer. We need the empty cells. All right. So I don't think we have any. So empty cells. See if I can't find the ones. There we go. The ones from Tech Reborn. So I don't think they require glass, but if you want to use them with glass, you totally can. They are EMCable, so be sure to keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and throw this in here with some ruby dust, and you're going to see this is going to start to work, and that's going to give us our stuff. Now, let's go ahead and start building the multi-block here. Now, like I said, this multi-block isn't exactly the way it seems. In order to be able to cook some of these things that we're going to be cooking, we need to make all the way up to the highest tier. Or the highest time or heat level that is in this thing. So in order to do that, well, you need to have a 2-block hole empty space in here, and you're going to need some lava. And this lava is going to go right here, and that's going to help you with your heating. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up. That is going to be a completed multi-block, and you can see this is the max heat that we can currently generate with just reinforced machine casings. But we are going to need 3,000. So this just isn't enough. And that's why we need to upgrade to the highest tier. And in order to do that, we're going to need chromium. And we're also going to need the titanium. So go to Tech Reborn. You can see right here. This right here is going to require iridium. These are pretty simple to make, and I believe I already have some. But the advanced machine frame that is required right here, we could technically, I guess we can totally skip that. And we can actually use a reinforced machine casing. I didn't notice that. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this, but we do need that chrome. That's what we're working on right now. We are still going to have to make the other plate, and it does a very similar procedure. But as you can see, this goes in here, and is going to take quite a lot of time. Now, we can speed this up if we have some upgrades, and I don't think we have the ability to make those upgrades just yet. They are the voltage upgrades, which will basically allow more power to go in. We have enough power, but we need more of these transformer upgrades. So, looks like, yeah, we can totally make some transformer upgrades. Look at that. So yeah, we have everything to make a transformer upgrade. We can go ahead and throw this in here. We'll take 16 of those. And yeah, we'll just throw the transformer upgrades in here. And that should totally help this go a lot faster. And we should even be able to, you know, speed this bad boy up. And now it actually will consume our power and actually have enough power to go into it, which is awesome, giving us a chrome ingot, which is EMC-able. So yeah, that's one of the major processes of getting that Tardis set up. So after you get those advanced machine casings all ready to go and made up, well, you got to remember you have lava in here. So I think what we can just do is grab a couple buckets, scoop that lava out, and we'll go ahead and rebuild this thing. And like I said, it's not a hard structure to build by any means, but we are going to get the max heat out of this bad boy now. And yeah, it's just a simple structure. Look at that. And we'll go ahead and get our lava done. And yes, having lava in the center here still makes this as hot as it can possibly get. And if that's complete, you should have the max heat that is in this thing. 3,730. That's a lot of heat. What do we need to use that heat for? Well, if we take a look at modular machinery, which is what the Tardis is built out of, you're going to see that the tungsten steel plates, well, it requires a very special procedure. You need the vacuum freezer to convert the hot tungsten steel ingot into a tungsten steel. So let's go to reverse this. How do we get the hot tungsten steel? Well, it requires tungsten steel and normal steel together. So, tungsten steel and steel. And that will get you exactly what you need. Technically, we only need one, because the actual product is EMC-able. So there we go. We have the hot tungsten steel. And we just throw that in a vacuum freezer. Just like that. And this is going to take a little bit of time, but you can, of course, help it along a little bit. And that will get you tungsten steel. But it's not the only thing you need to do. A lot of these ingots are actually going to require the compactor in order to function. So that's what I'm going to use, is just the compactor. And there we go. We have the tungsten steel plates. And that's going to be required for most of these modular machines. So that's not the only thing we need to do. There's several other things that are along this line that are going to make it possible. But we should be able to get this done fairly soon. So what are the next things you're probably going to need to make? Well, you're going to need not necessarily an enhanced vat, but you're going to need 2 vats. Doesn't really matter what tier. You can place them right next to each other. And we're going to configure this to output on this side, or push. And this is going to be set to pull. These are going to work in collaboration with one another. So let's get a point. And we'll just power this bad boy. Doesn't really matter which side you have these powered on, because it's not going to matter too much. They just need to be powered. All right, on the inside of this, you're going to need to get it, I guess, mocked out of capacitors. That'd probably be the best thing to do. Put it in both. Perfect. And we're going to fill this first one with water. Let's just give it enough water. That's all we need. Throw some seeds and sugar in there. And then on the next one, let's throw some redstone and blaze powder. Now, what this is going to end up making is Firewater. And it doesn't take very long at all. You can throw a couple of these on there. And that'll get that produced. And what this is going to do is produce 1 bucket of Firewater. So let's get a bucket. Actually, we can probably just get a cell and take the cell and fill the cell. There we go, directly. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and make more of these. Not that way. Firewater cells, there we go. And these Firewater cells are what we're going to use to make the firebox. Now, the circuit board, that's pretty straightforward. We need vacuum tubes, which we already have a bunch of. And we're also going to need insulated glass and copper plates. Very simple, copper plates. I think insulated glass. Huh, maybe not. Let's go back to modular machines. Insulated glass we should have, yes. Which is also kind of cool looking in itself, if you like that sort of thing. We'll grab some vacuum tubes. And I don't remember what else it was that this required. Oh yeah, we have our table right here. But it does require the same components pretty much. And that'll give us the circuit boards that we need. There we go. And that should allow us to make the firebox. Now, I've already made this machine casing because it required an enhanced machine chassis, which we already have access to. But that's just going through the process of vendor IO, making in steel and stuff like that. Not a big deal. All right, so the machine circuitry. This requires these energy flow, and I recommend using the Laperon crystals from Tech Reborn, and also using the Iridium reinforced plate, which has an EMC value. So there's some of them that don't have EMC values. I don't recommend using those. But we also have the data storage unit. We've already made a bunch of those, but these Laperons are way easier to make. And same with the energy crystals. These energy crystals are way easier to make than everything else, right? So what I recommend is just making a bunch of them and letting them charge up and then just dumping them back in your EMC table, because you're going to need quite a few of these to make these Laperons. So let's go ahead and make this. Let's go back here, Tech Reborn. You can pull that up, and you need to find them right here and just throw them in. And that's going to give you what you need. There we go. And that, we're going to go ahead and get that. Type in the Laperon crystals. You got to manually put those in. That'll give you the energy flow circuits. Bam. And we're good to go with those energy flow circuits. And that's what's needed for the machine right here. The machine circuitry. Now I'm just making one of each because later on we can use these. Now the rest of these require a chaotic core. We already have a bunch of chaotic cores. If you're wondering how I got them, there was through the game over crates. And then being able to put them in the chest. So we already have a lot of octadic capacitors, but this right here, the Signalium plated impulse item ducts, they're just made through the fluid transposer. You can make these with normal item ducts. So let's go ahead and make a bunch of item ducts, right? Just like that. And we'll turn them right here into the this version, right? The impulse duct or whatever it's called. We need to do this with a fluid transposer and some glowstone. We should have access to one of those over here. So this one right here, we can just break this one. What we'll do is we'll pull this in. There we go. Not like that. Get this correct. There we go. And we'll feed this with glowstone. And that's all you got to do for this. Feed that with glowstone, and then put these item ducts in there. And that should start transferring. There you go. You see we get those impulse item ducts. Very simple there. Now, those aren't the only things. Like, these require these linear ones, which are just hardened flux ducts. Very simple. And these are just surrounded by a few things. So those are the Lumiere, the Super Lumiere flux ducts. The next ones are going to be the cryo-stabilized flux ducts, which are not that hard either. You just need to get the cryo-stabilized flux duct empty and fill it with cryothium. So we'll do the same thing over here. We'll just break these two. Put this here. Of course, if I can place it the right way. There we go. Give that some cryothium to chew down. Or melt down. And we should be able to pull out of here. Right? Is that not pushing? There we go. These should totally connect. I don't know why it's not. Redstone node? There we go. It was outputting the wrong way. But there we go. And we got the cryo stabilized. So those are not too hard to get. And of course, all we need is Signalium for this. And look at that. We get those. And we're ready to go. Now, the other thing is going to be the HV capacitors. We already have treated wood. All I need to do is literally just make a block of lead. And we can have all the HV capacitors that we could ever want. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these made, and we're going to get started on this structure that is the TARDIS. Well, guys, moment of truth. We need to go ahead and get ourselves prepared for this. Let's go ahead and buy the blueprint for the TARDIS and take a look at it. You can open it, and this is going to tell you everything you need. I already kind of knew everything I need. The only thing you need to make sure you have is the palladium slabs, which palladium is technically tier 4 or at least tier 3 on the ore miner. You're going to definitely need that. But I recommend clicking here, which is going to drop this into the tier list. And we're going to start on the bottom, which is -17, right? And this is 18 by 18. It is a even number, so keep that in mind. It's 18 by 18. We're going to take a look at the first floor. And all we got to do is I'm going to start right here on the corner edge. And I'm going to build 18 out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Awesome. And we need to build 18 in this direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then just fill it in. And this is going to be the base of a massive, massive structure, guys. No joke, it's about to get real. Let's take a look at the next one. So actually, when counting this out, this is 16 blocks. So what we have done is we have taken this in one block and now have a ridge that is this size going in, leaving it with sort of a platform on the bottom. And we need to go all the way around, and we're going to get into the center part. And I hope this is probably better instruction than actually using the book itself, because I'll be giving you some really good numbers that'll help you build this thing. So yeah, what we need to do is go back. We need to get some more of our building materials. There we go. And yeah, things are about to change. We're about to really dive deep into how this thing is supposed to be built. All right, so we're going to do this. There we go. And on the inside, we're going to have to change a few things. Let's start working with these few materials. We're going to need packed ice. That's the first material. And we're also going to need copper, which I don't think I have it made yet. But let's get some copper, just in case. Let's go ahead and throw those out. We're going to grind down, pulverize some copper real quick. And we're going to make ourselves some hardened copper. And make sure we have that to be EMC'd, because that is actually the required material for this next part. All right, so let's get to building this. This is going to be 2 blocks out, and we're going to just basically make a square that is in line here. There's going to be 2 blocks away from the edge. Once that's done, we're going to go here and place a couple blocks in the center area on each side. And then on the inside, we're going to find the center, and we're going to make some squares here away from the center. And then, following the same pattern, we're going to place this down like so. Actually, minding where we messed up, because we did mess up somewhere. Did we go off too many in one direction? Here I am, already messing things up. We need to probably recount. This should be 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So yes, we are one too many on this side. I hope we're not one too many on the other side. But this, you'll feel, if it's off, you'll feel when it's off. It will not feel right. Because it should be a perfectly even structure. Which means all of this is wrong right here. So we'll just fix it. Like I said, a lot of this is just repeating patterns. And like I said, we're going to find that out very soon. So it should look just like this. I think we're right this time. All right, so we're going to go ahead and, like I said, make those squares away from the center here. And then on the sides, we're just going to fill it in like this. being sure to check to make sure this pattern is correct. Let's pull out our blueprint and just make sure that this looks correct. There we go. Now on the inside of that is going to go, or we're going to use that reinforced stuff. So let's go ahead and throw that in there. We are going to need some of this hardened copper glass, and it does have to be the copper. I'll keep that in mind. And we just fill this in. Like so. And there we go. Perfect. Now, the next step, which may or may not be fun for everyone, we're going to have to build this up quite a few blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything cleared out of my inventory, except for what I need to build with. And then we should be good. Okay, so the whole inventory needs to be filled with the material that we're fixing to go up with, which is going to be this hardened copper. So I'm going to go ahead and get my whole inventory filled. And we need to go up 30 blocks from this base block. So this is 1, this will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on, all the way up to 30. Once you have this structure 30 blocks tall, you are basically ready to start the pattern. So the next pattern is going to be just basically blocking around here. And you can see, then it's going to close in, and that's going to go for 5 blocks. And you're going to start to see it resemble the actual Tardis, which is actually fairly neat to see. So let's go ahead and get ourselves back with a whole inventory of those casings. And then you're going to start to see it all pretty much come together. So we'll fill the whole thing with machine casings, our whole inventory. And let's get to work. And if we need to come back, we can always grab more. But what we need to make sure is that we're building inside this block here. We're building inside this frame. So I'm going to do these 2 layers with you guys. And the rest, I'm going to just kind of, I don't know if I'm going to time-lapse it. I don't know, probably time-lapse it. It doesn't take that long to get this all done. But as you can see, this is this layer. The next layer is what we're going to be repeating all the way up to the top, pretty much. There we go. And the next layer basically fills in this gap. You're still going to put these 2 blocks here, but you're going to go all the way around and place the blocks in this sort of pattern. Just like so. All the way around. Bam, just like that. And yeah, this thing is absolutely huge. So make sure you have somewhere that you want to keep it, because yeah, this thing gets large. And then we're going to take this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 blocks, and then you're going to repeat this next section that we just did down here. You're going to start here, and you're going to bring this out. And like I said, you're going to repeat the same one that we just did, and go all the way around, and then you're going to repeat this step up a couple. So once you reach this point, things start changing. You see we have 3 little spots here. We're going to need some dark matter blocks now. So let's go ahead and grab those dark matter blocks. And what we're going to do is we're going to rim the outside here with this dark matter blocks. And we're going to leave the spots open. We're going to fill those later with those blocks that we made earlier, those input hatches and output hatches. We just got to, we'll worry about the positioning of them later on, because I don't know if they have to be in a very specific order, but I'm going to make sure to put them in the same order that's listed in that blueprint, just in case, because it does look like it, I mean, it might require a specific order. In translation, or in comparison, if I can say the right word, in respects, there we go, in respects to the controller, they do have to go in a certain order. So there we go. We have this part done. And then now, if we take a look here, we got to go all the way up until things start changing. There we go. And you can see right here, if we kind of zoom in, you can see that these are dark matter blocks. When we go in, you can see we have the vacuum fluid input hatches. We have all these hatches now, and those should go in this position. And then we go up, and then that becomes solid. And then it fills up again. And then the next layer goes 1 more out. And then we're going to get some different types of casings here. So this is going to go all the way around, because this is where this starts to really come to life, start to change a little bit. And if you guys want to know, you guys can thank Slowpoke for Mr. FTB himself. You can thank Slowpoke for this, because he was the one who built this for everyone to try out. And it's just an absolute monstrosity. It's a crazy thing to build, just super, super insane. But it does produce some really impressive power, which is what we're going to get into here in a little bit. So we need some fireboxes now, because remember, that's what we needed for the next part. Man, this thing just looks massive from over here. It looks a lot better once it actually forms itself. These spots right here are going to be capped, and then we're just going to go with fireboxes all the way around, just like so. Being sure to break those off if you have any issues with them. There we go. We're just going to bring that all the way around. Bam, just like so. And yeah, like I said, things are really going to change here. This level, at least the level that we're at, is actually just going to kind of fold in on itself. And this is the really easy part, because it doesn't really require too much at the top, per se. Oh, I just put the wrong blocks in here, didn't I? Or I could just, break the whole thing. I'll be right back. Don't vein mine, by the way. So after fixing my dumb mistake there, I went ahead and just capped it one more time on top of the fireboxes. And what we're going to have to do now is just close this thing in. Really simple. We're going to close this in. We're going to touch the outside edge there. And yeah, this is where it just really all comes to life. I can't wait till you guys actually see what this changes to. This thing doesn't stay the same color. Modular machinery is really, really cool. And the things that it allows modpack developers to do. It allows them to make really customizable machines. And this is just a very large scale example of some of the crazy customizable machines that you can make with modular machinery. So we're just going to cap this off on the top, just like so. And here comes the next part. The next layer is going to be the palladium slabs. We need to find the center, which is right here. We're going to cap this off. We're going to be putting the little bitty top on this thing. And I believe it is 3 layers of the circuitry. Like that. And then a little cap on top. And that's the little topper to what is fixing to become the Tardis. Alright, so right here is kind of where the controller goes. The controller goes right there. So if you count up 1, 2, 3, it's on the third one right in the center. So let's go ahead and grab the controller. And we're also going to need the hatches. So let's get to modular machinery. Let's pull out all the different hatches that we're going to need. There we go. Perfect. Actually, we're going to need 2 of the fluid ones, I believe. Or the energy, sorry, the energy. 2 separate ones of the energy. So we need to make copies of the energy, basically. There we go. We don't need all that many. We literally just need 2. And there we go. Alright, so that should be all we need. And we're going to take a look here. So the controller goes here. On the front side, we're going to have a fluid hatch. The fluid output needs to go here. And the fluid input. The outputs are going to go on the left. And the inputs are going to go on the right. So the fluid input is on the right. Same goes over here. This is going to be the energy. So we'll put the energy output on the left. Energy input on the right. Over here is going to be the items. Item. The green one's going to go on the right. The red one is going to go on the left. And over here is another energy. Like I said, green goes on right. Red goes on left. Once this is done, the multi-block will complete, and you will get this nice blue-colored Tardis. And guys, all you gotta do is put the blueprint in, and you're ready to start working on things. Now, what you can do is you can look at water, right? Water right here kind of tells you, if you go over to the Tardis generator, modular machinery, it tells you how much power this thing will generate just based off of water. And yes, you are correct. This number is 300 billion RF a tick, or FE as it says. It doesn't matter, forge energy. Which is insane. So Yes, and the internal storage, I believe, is 2.1 billion is the max storage it holds. I believe it'll kind of store a little bit of energy once you give it some water. But one way to just kick this thing off very simply is to just give it a sink. If you want to start power generation and have a lot of it right off the bat, I recommend going for a sink. So, let's see. Let's just make a sink. I don't think we probably have a sink in here. There we go. And a conduit. Just a regular fluid conduit with speed upgrades. I honestly don't even think you need speed upgrades, because this thing isn't like super hungry for power or for water. If we throw that there, we slap a conduit on there. Set that to extract. Always active. Throw some upgrades in there. And this thing is generating power. Look at that. 2.1 billion RF. That's what's stored currently in that block. Now, here's where things get a little bit weird. The current transfer rate of a single network, right? The flux networks are not unlimited, right? These flux networks, just a singular network is not unlimited. You're looking at, I believe it is that max that is shown there, because that's what you normally end up with, is about 2.1 billion, is what this can max transfer. Now, if you're looking for a way to send all of your power into this, we need to come up with some really creative solutions for getting the power from here to here. And I've done some experimenting, and we might have somewhat of a solution. So I haven't tested this out, but I went ahead and got some actually addition stuff in Powered, and I went ahead and made myself a phantom energy face. Now, this thing does have a bit of a range. It doesn't have, it doesn't have the greatest of range, but what we can do is get a pylon, and we can try and get this thing to input power through this pylon. So let's get some glass, and we're going to try our best. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how well this is actually going to work, but we should be able to place a phantom face here. Currently the range is 16. If we take some of these phantom boosters, we can extend that range to quite a bit, actually. There's 128. I think 128 is the max. So 128 blocks. That shouldn't be 128 blocks, I don't think. But what we need to do is we need to take the output, shift right click, block stored to the connector, and store it to this block. Connected, working fine. Okay, I do see that it says 2.1 on the storage mount. Is that allowing? Oh my. Okay, so currently we have 358 million RF being stored in here, going in currently. That should be way, way higher than million. So that means that this currently has a limitation on its output, I guess. Now, let's take a look at cryo-stabilized flux ducts, which we do have a bunch of. And this, I just want to make sure that I can get the max output out of it. So, cryo. It should just allow me to pull directly out of that face, right? At least that's what I'm thinking. So if we have some cryo-stabilized flux ducts, this should allow unlimited transfer out of here. Per side. That should be more connections. Okay, so now we're at 1 billion. Okay, so we're pushing it a little bit more, right? We're pushing this a little bit more, and we can see this is changing. So maybe if we have more energy pylons, because I think energy pylons themselves have caps. So let's get more glass. And let's see what that bumped up to. It's still the same. So I'm assuming that there's just an issue with the face, right? It's just per side on the face. because this really isn't changing. We're looking at only 1 billion RF a tick versus the 300 billion that we should be getting. Okay, well, that's good to know. That means there are other methods that we can try, and I think the only other thing I can do is just stretch this cryo-stabilized flux duct all the way over here, which is going to be ugly, but it'll be functional. So all we need to do now is just make sure this gets fully connected, and make sure there's as many connections on this as possible, just like so. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to route this around the current setup. And there we go. That should almost guarantee. I don't think there's loss in these cables. Okay, so we're producing 2.4 billion. Maybe there is loss in those cables. Huh. Because I am pulling this from all the way over here. It's not what it should be. This should be way faster. Way, way faster than what this is generating. So I'm guessing there is there might be power loss. But that just seems like a lot of power loss for a cable that should be infinite. Maybe it just hasn't kicked up yet. Let's just check again. Okay, so no, I mean, it's still going in there. It's just not, it's not giving it its all. Let's just say that. Does that mean maybe this can connect to more sides, maybe? If that's the case, then we can pull these out further, maybe? Okay, 2.14 billion RF tech. Now, I did do some testing on the server, and I didn't actually run into this problem, I don't think. But I feel like maybe it's just the water version that's not currently working properly. Because what's happening is it's actually stuck at basically the Java max integer limit, which is the 2 billion, 100 million thing. But we have it right here. I mean, we see right here. Oh, this is producing, yeah, billion. Only 4.29 billion. Because which is weird because this cable, in theory, is supposed to be infinite, right? But the max integer should be technically its limit, but it isn't. It doesn't have a limit. But when I connected it to the other side, it doubled, right? So I have a feeling that it's not the cable, it's this actually that's causing the issue, the hatch. Now I did test going to the top tier on the subserver, and it worked just fine. So I'm trying to wrap my head around why this isn't pumping out the 300 billion like it says it would do. And I'm pretty sure it's 300 billion. We can do a double check just to make sure that I'm not reading it wrong. I mean, this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is 300 billion. Is what that's supposed to be. So, I mean, that's what we're getting, right? So, anyways. I just wanted to show you guys that. I think next episode we're going to work on getting everything upgraded so that way we can get max power out of this Tardis. And if I have to create another sphere over here and away from this, I will. Just so we can get that power stored up. But anyways, guys, this has been an awesome episode. This Tardis is absolutely enormous. Man, guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, don't forget to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next episode. As always, thanks for watching.